64 stories tall, $450 million in pre-sales, with a design by SHOP Architects with over 130 square feet of planned amenities, pools, restaurants, office space, a 174-key hotel where 100 residences were purchased within just 4 days after its initial launch. And in April 2026, a lender filed a foreclosure lawsuit against the developer behind the project for $80.4 million in defaulted debt, with interest that has been accruing at over $53,000 per day. That project is Mercedes-Benz Places Miami, and the developer is JDS Development Group, led by Michael Stern. Filing the suit is an affiliate of Cottonwood Group, which took over the loan in March 2026 and filed just within days of acquiring it. I want to be clear before we go any further. This video is not a verdict on whether Mercedes-Benz Places gets built or not. The developer says they're actively working on a $750 million financing package to resolve the situation. The project may and very likely will reach completion. But what this video is about is the question that forces every pre-construction buyer to ask: when you're putting 10, 20, 30, 40% of your savings into a contract on a building that doesn't exist yet, how do you know that the developer has the financial strength to actually deliver it? Now, there are two lessons in this story. I want to walk you through both. Let me break down how branded residences work. A developer approaches a luxury brand, they negotiate a licensing agreement. What they do not do is fund the construction, and they're likely not equity partners in most cases. They're not financial guarantors, and if the developer runs into trouble, the brand is not on the hook. In the Mercedes-Benz Places situation, the developer is JDS Development Group. That's the entity that borrowed the $85 million land and construction loan in 2015. One detail worth noting is that JDS purchased the land in 2020 for $24 million, and 2 years later, landed an $86 million acquisition and construction loan from Maxim Capital Group. Okay, so I have to jump in here quickly because before I had the opportunity of posting this video, there's been a new development. Less than a month from being foreclosed on, JDS has countersued Cottonwood. And basically what they are alleging is that when Cottonwood got involved, they met with JDS. They were looking to refinance the loan or give them an extension or work things out. What Michael Stern and JDS are alleging is that when they met to discuss what would happen with this loan, they signed a non-disclosure agreement, and JDS gave them sensitive information, sales, what was going on with the building, the project, and other things involving the company. They're saying that Cottonwood never really intended to extend or refinance the loan. They were just doing this to gain information that they could use against the developer. And JDS is also working on securing that loan for over $750 million. But they're saying that, hey, with all of this negative publicity and everything that's going on now because of this foreclosure lawsuit, it's hindering sales and it's stalling the project even further. So we're definitely going to keep a close eye on this and see how it evolves, but wanted to insert this in the video just so you have the most current up-to-date news on what's transpiring here. The project is set to have over $450 million in pre-sales with real buyer demand, which seemed to be there, and the developer is working on a $750 million financing package, which would be the largest in Florida's history. This is a complicated financial situation and is not necessarily a dead project, but it does illustrate exactly why buyers need to understand the financing structure before they sign. And here's the thing, JDS is a pretty big name. And this is not a hit piece. Actually, many of my real estate colleagues might not like me coming on here and pointing out these kinds of situations, as it could induce fear in someone looking to buy pre-construction. But I have to tell you the truth. This is the reality. And buying real estate does come with some risk. So you want to make sure you have the right team in your corner to guide you and point out what could happen. So in the event that it does take place, you might have seen it coming. And why do I say this? Well, JDS is a pretty recognized name in the industry. They have built some big projects in New York before setting their sights on Florida. But sadly, this is not the first time they find themselves in a legal battle over financing or loan defaults. Actually, Stern was also sued personally by Gianluca Vacchi, a worldwide known entrepreneur and influencer who is also invested not only in Mercedes-Benz, but also Dolce & Gabbana residents at 888 Brickell, for allegedly scheming to gain a $2.5 million investment from a development in Miami. So it's not just location, location, location when it comes to new development. It's location, 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 and who's behind the project. Here's lesson 2, what Florida law actually protects you. Fortunately, Florida has one of the strongest legal frameworks in the country for protecting pre-construction buyers. Under Florida Statute 718.202, pre-construction condo developers are required to place 10% of the buyer deposits into an escrow account held by a third party, the developer's operating cash from the day you sign. Now, if a project is canceled before construction begins, or if a developer cannot deliver within the constructual time frame, you generally have the right to get your deposit back. Florida takes these escrow requirements seriously, but Florida also allows developers to access escrow funds once they've met certain thresholds depending on how the contract is written. Once that money is in the construction pipeline, the path to recovery gets more complicated if something goes wrong mid-build. Contract-specific terms matter enormously. When can the developer draw money from escrow? What constitutes a default that triggers your right to cancel? Look, I'm not a real estate attorney, and even though it's not necessary when you're buying down here, I believe every buyer in pre-construction looking in Florida should have a real estate attorney review the contract during your due diligence period. But even if you don't, there sometimes are notable red flags that you can pick up on. So before the vetting framework, I put together a free resource, the Pre-Construction Developer Vetting Checklist, which are 10 questions to ask any developer before you put any money down. Comment checklist and I'll send it your way. This is the 3-part developer vetting framework. Part 1, most importantly, the track record in this market. Not globally, not in New York or Dubai, in Florida, specifically in completing condo projects of similar scale. Here are some questions to ask. How many projects have they completed in Florida? What was the delivery timeline versus the originally estimated timeline? Have any of the Florida projects had foreclosures or receivership? Part 2, financing structure. Ask, is construction financing in place or is it still being assembled? A project where construction financing is fully closed is categorically different from one where the developer is still putting the capital stack together. And look, people looking at pre-construction want to get in early. And that's also tied to risk. Like everything else in life, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. So if you're risk averse, but you want to be in a brand new building that's delivering, well, you might want to opt to wait or look for projects that are further along in their construction phase so that you know that they're gonna be delivered. But if you're looking to maximize on your return, well, potentially look at projects that are starting out, but that have a winning team behind them. Somebody that's delivered in Florida, that has never had any issues, the things that we've already spoken about. Part 3, your contract's escrow and refund language. Before you sign, get a clear answer to the following. 1, when is the developer permitted to access your deposit from escrow and for what reasons? 2, what are the specific conditions under which you're entitled to a full refund should anything happen? And 3, what is the outside delivery date and what happens if they miss it? Look, I've worked on pre-construction condo deals across Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, and even Palm Beach. I know the developers who are active in this market right now that have never missed a delivery. I know who has a track record of delivering on time and who has had complicated stories. And I know which capital stacks are clean and which projects are still putting financing together. And the best thing is, if I don't have the answer, I know where to find it for you. Now, that's not something you're going to get from a sales gallery. They'll let you know what's going on with that project. Of course, they're focused on selling just that to you. So do yourself a favor, grab the developer vetting checklist in the description. Use it on every project you're seriously considering, and don't sign anything until you have satisfactory answers to those 10 questions. Remember that in Florida, you have 15 days to review and make revisions or propose revisions to the contract. So have your attorney review and explain these to you within the 15 days, or try to get the answers before you even sign. And if you're ready to have a real conversation about a specific project or a specific developer, or even if you just have a question, you can book a 15-minute complimentary call. My calendar link is in the description and I'll walk you through it. Thanks for watching. I'm Juan Iarussi with Compass, your South Florida realtor. And in my next video, I'm gonna go in deeper into whether it still makes sense to buy pre-construction in South Florida in 2026. So if you like the content, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when the next video drops. And if you found this helpful at all, give me a like so I can reach more people like you. It really helps and it goes a long, long way. Until the next time, stay savvy, stay informed, stay ready, and I'll see you on the next one.